Hey everybody, so this is a demo of the Weber Mass Attenuator. So I'm running it through a Selmer Treble and Bass 50, which is a 50 watt old vintage British head. Sound is the heater, the speaker heating. So the thing about this head is it's 50 watts, really loud, and has a really good overdrive tone. But we're not going to be talking about that today. We're going to be talking about the Weber Mass Attenuator, which is just really awesome. So basically, this is the attenuation knob. I have it like all the way set to 0 because at 0, this is cranked by the way. At 0, we're getting which is, a really good tone for something that's coming out of, well, the shop speaker, a 6.5-inch speaker, 20 watts, it's pretty tiny, and it is holding its own with the Selmer Treble and Bass thanks to this attenuator. So basically some of the cool features on this is the attenuation bypass switch. So if you want to, and I'm not going to do this, but if you want to flip this up in the middle of the song and get, everything out, you can. This right here is a treble boost switch. Up here is 6 dB of treble, all the way down 3, and in the middle is 0. Oh, shoot, I almost pulled the bypass one. And shoot, this one right here is the ohm selector switch. Goes down to 2, up to 16. So, if you want to run this through a super reverb or Fortin Bassman, you can, which is awesome. That's just really awesome. And apparently that's the reason why a lot of people want these Weber Mass attenuators, is to attenuate amps that the Captor X's and aux boxes just can't handle. And over here, we have the high-low switch, which I will demonstrate later along with all these other features. And over here is an external tone stack. So inside is both speaker parts and resistors. So it can attenuate basically any amp up to 100 watts, although they do say that 100 watt amps are not recommended because you won't get the full functionality out of the attenuator. But what's really cool is that it uses speaker parts. So it's a semi-resistive, semi-reactive load. So a full resistive load would just be like putting a 16 ohm 50 watt resistor, an 8 ohm 50 watt resistor out the back of that amp. And it wouldn't sound good because it kind of assumes that the amp is outputting the same volume at all times, but it's not. So basically right now, it's outputting 0 watts because I'm not doing anything on guitar. But as soon as I go to, it puts out 50, now it's at 40, now it's at 30, now it's at 20, now it's at 10, and now it's at 0. So the resistive load doesn't really capture all the nuance that an amp going straight into a speaker cabinet would, because the speakers react along with the amp to the resistance that it needs. So Weber put speaker parts in here too to try to emulate that sound. And from what I've heard, it's partially resistive, partially reactive. So you get all the traditional, well, I'll just say resistance that resistors would have, so they're very hardy, very unsusceptible to damage. Whereas analog, completely reactive things are very susceptible to damage. I could punch a hole in that speaker cone right now and it would sound like garbage. Or I could, throw it around, really shake up the magnet and the voice coil would disconnect. But you also get the reactive part too, which really helps along with the resistive part to get you a more real tone. So this is possibly the best analog, completely analog attenuator on the market today. You just plug in through the back, you play, it's got a line out feature, that should be enough. So, and I'm going to go through all the functionality of it right now. So here is the basic attenuation thing. I'm just going to strum a big E chord. I'm not going to be stupid enough to turn it up to 10 because that's just a death sentence. There we go. When you're at the bottom, you do lose some of the warmth that you get when you turn it up. That's to be expected on any attenuator. But on the other hand, if you turn it up to 10, it's going to blow your head off. So, I mean, around this 6-7 area, I feel like that's the sweet spot when you're at a live performance, as just about everything is in the 6 to 7 area with tube amps. But if you want to turn it all the way down, see, like, I can even do this all the way off. I'm getting, like, barely a signal from that. It's really hard to hear at that point. But I'm going to turn it back up because... Oh, actually, at that point, I am getting nothing. I don't know what... I don't know why it does that. Maybe it's because it kind of jumps the tread, but... I literally can't hear anything from the speaker over there. So you can use this with a line out to a DI box to headphones or something if you want to get that sound. I'm going to turn it back up because... Okay, so here is the bypass attenuator switch. You know, switch it down to bypass if you are insane, because, you know, I'm not going to do that because I'm deathly terrified of what this thing would sound like at the full 50 watts in my house. Attenuator switch, again, I'm not going to switch that because why would I? That's kind of stupid. If you want to switch it to 16 watts from an 8 watt amp, 16 ohms from an 8 ohm amp, or 8 ohms from a 4 ohm amp, you can. That should get you a little less volume coming out of the speakers, but when you can already attenuate it to 0, why would you do that? The mismatch is just going to hurt your output transformer. It may not hurt it now, but over a long period of time, if you got the amp fully cranked, it's going to really start messing with your tubes or your transformer, and you don't want either. This right here is the high-low switch, so it's at low right now. Not bad sounding. Turn it up to high. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was at high. So this is low. And now you turn it up to high. Turn it down to high. Wait, is that correct? I'm sorry, I've got to see this. Yeah. Wait. So what this is saying is that high... I'm sorry, this is really confusing me because I could have sworn it was the other way around. Okay, so I'm even more confused now. So was I not switching it properly? So this is low. This is high. Low is kind of an extra avenue of bringing your sound down, like in a hurry. Like, oh no, my stage volume's getting too high, I better... Or drop it back for rhythm or something, and then you pull it up for lead. And you pull it back up for lead. But I'm just gonna, you know, actually I like the sound in high a lot better than I do in low. What's weird is that it feels like it takes a while to engage. So I turn it down. Turn it up. Like it doesn't fire. There we go. It feels like the switch is a little off. So I may spray that with contact cleaner later, see if that's the problem, but this may just be an old unit, something goes wrong with it a little bit, you know. But I like the sound like that. Here's the treble boost switch. So, as I'm sure you've heard, attenuators take off a lot of treble on your amp. And so it can occasionally sound like there's too much mud. Not so with this amp, not so with this attenuator. It sounds great either way. But I will roll back the treble and bass just for fun, because it's a Selmer treble and bass. And then here is the treble boost switch. So, I don't know if you can hear this, but the speaker got a little bit more noisy. So I'm going to do... down, turn it back down to 0. So that just, it's really simple. It's just a treble booster. I guess if you want, I mean, I don't know, if you want to attenuate a big British amp which sounds dark, you know, switch on the treble booster, get some Tony Iommi tones. Been forever since I played that song, sorry about that. But anyway, bringing it back down to 0. And now the last one, this is an additional tone stack. And what's weird about this is I honestly cannot tell the difference between when it's on and off. I mean, there's a little bit, but I think it may be the placebo effect. So I've got everything dimed right here. And what's weird about the switch too is that up is the tone stack bypass and down is activating the tone stack. So I'm just going to play a chord, let it ring out, and I will flick it up and down and see if you guys can tell, because I sure can't. To me, it sounds like the bypass makes it a little brighter. Turning the tone stack on makes it a little darker. But now we'll try it the other way, and I will just turn every single knob the opposite direction, and we'll see if it makes any difference. And what's weird is that everything is turned to 0 now. It's at 0. And when the tone stack is on, it sounds brighter than when the tone stack is off. But if I were to turn everything up to 10, when the tone stack is on, it sounds darker. And I'm not sure how this is possible. I'm really not. And at this point, I've just kind of given up right here. I mean, I don't know what this thing does. I can't tell a difference between it being on and off, but time and again has proven that I have bad ears, even as a guitarist. So I'm not very good at discerning these shifts in EQ beyond, oh, that sounds a little different. I heard a little difference there. I'm not sure again. So basically, if you haven't figured it out already, I think that this is a load of crap. The tone stack. Attenuating the frequencies coming out of the amplifier is a good idea. Maybe the power tubes are messing with something, but I don't think so. I don't see any difference between this being on and this being off. Maybe if I had it at a higher volume, I'd be able to. Maybe this knob is choking some of the frequencies that make that special. I don't know, but I don't think it makes much of a difference. And now we're just going to talk about the features on this. I mean, it's a big red box. It's pretty simplistic. But for the price, I mean, I don't think you could get anything better. I mean, it's just fantastic for what it is. It's got 2 speaker outs on the back. I know you can't see it. I'm sorry. Okay. It has a line out on the back too, and an input jack on the back. All the features are on the back, so you can just, you know, put it on top of your amplifier. No one has to see the cables and wires coming out the backside. That's good, I would assume. I mean, it's pretty simplistic. It still uses the old Weber logo on the back, www.webervst.com. So I think this is the second gen, because I have seen some first gen Weber attenuators that are like all gray and really weird. They look like a tone bender, but with the knobs on like the sloped side instead of the top. So like the shorter side of the triangle. And on the back it says 100 watts with a big label maker sticker on it. The inside, it has several ventilation things both on the top and the bottom. This one in particular has rubber feet on it, which I don't think is original from the factory. I think that someone put them on afterwards. And I would agree with their doing that. That makes a lot of sense, because the bottom of the attenuator is the only part of the attenuator that gets even warm. I'm not kidding. I played this yesterday for 30-40 minutes. Amp cranked, everything. This is attenuating 50 watts, and if you don't know, basically attenuating 50 watts means that you dissipate 49 of those watts into heat energy. And the heat energy is non-existent, basically. I cannot feel a difference. The top of my tube amp is hotter than the top of the attenuator. So, you know, take that for what you will. I think that's great, because you hear all these horror stories about, oh, I bought this $50 attenuator on Reverb and it started smoking and it caught my amplifier on fire. And apparently that's a really common problem with those cheaper attenuators, catching on fire. This one will not, I guarantee you. It hasn't even smelled funny when the resistor's heated up. You know, I can't recommend it enough for that. For heat dissipation purposes, this is the best resistor on the market. I mean, the best attenuator on the market. It's built solidly. You could throw it around, do whatever you want with it. It's not going anywhere. Maybe the knobs would break off. I don't think so. Speaking about the knobs, all these knobs are normal except for this one, because this one is a massive resistor. I mean, a massive potentiometer that's like this thick. It's like just about as thick as this. It takes up about a half of this side of the box and about a half of the length, about half of the width, and all of the height. It's massive. When you look at it through the top grill, I'm just in awe, because it is the biggest potentiometer I've ever seen. And this knob is really, it's not scratchy at all, but it takes some effort getting it moving. But it takes some effort getting it moving, because it is just so beefy, the resistor that you have to move. I mean, good construction. It sounds great. It sounds so much better than those Bugera 100-watt attenuators or Carl's attenuators on Reverb. This sounds like the amp, and I'm just, it's great. It really is. This is, without a doubt, the best analog attenuator on the market today. You could get an aux box, you could get a Captor X, but they're just so much harder to deal with than this. This is simple. You have a line out, input, speaker out, these are your controls, you're done. No external power, nothing. And it's great. It really is. The only downside I could see is that if you want to record or play with directly into your computer, you have to get a direct input box that will let you do that. That is the only downside I can think of. That, and maybe this thing not being worth a darn, in my opinion. But that could also just be me. You could get it in person and you're fiddling around with it and you're like, wow, what an idiot, this sounds great. Or I see the difference, but I don't. As I've said 5 or 6 times before, and I get the feeling that just about everyone watching this video is getting tired of that. But the rest of the amp, I mean the rest of the attenuator is just awesome. I mean, for $250, which is what the going rate is on the used market, I'm selling this one pretty soon for $250, $260, in that general range. I'm actually doing that tomorrow, which is why I'm filming this today. But I'm selling this for $250, $260, but for that price range, you're not getting anything better. You could maybe get a Captor X, but it would be one of the really early scaled down models where you get to choose between 8 ohms, and then you have to buy a separate one if you want 16 ohms and a separate one if you want 4 ohms, and the 4 ohms one costs like $100 extra because they only made like 5 of them. Whereas this is readily available. You can get it anywhere. You can get a light version if you have an amplifier that's like 20 or 30 watts and you want to attenuate it. The light versions will go for 150 to 200, and I've seen some of them going at like 100 on the market. And 100 this versus 100 for a Bugera, I'd take this all day, even if it's only attenuating 20 or 30 watts of amplifier. So basically, I can't recommend this enough for the price point, and I can't recommend this enough for what it is. It's just amazing, and you aren't going to get anything like this at the same price range. So anyway, that was my review for the Weber Mass 100 Attenuator. I think it's awesome, but let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that this has influenced some of you to buy this, because this is a real piece of work. This is great. And I'll see you in the next in-depth video I do on this. So I'll see you in about 30, 40 years.